Prologue: The Anchor That Never Held. The trip was supposed to orbit the German Film Festival, a cultural anchor, a North Star, a reason to cross the continent. But anchors only work if they're attached to something solid. This one dissolved the moment it touched Adelaide soil. What follows is the autopsy, performed live, no gloves, no anaesthetic, just observation, resignation, and the faint smell of cultural decay. Friday, entry into the mirage. The flight. The descent into madness began somewhere over the desert between Perth and Adelaide, inside a pressurized aluminium coffin full of humanity's worst ergonomic decisions. I was wedged between two men built like malfunctioning vending machines, while the woman in front of me reclined her seat with the cold imperial authority of someone lowering a drawbridge. My knees were gone. My spine was a rumor. My will to live flickered like a dying fluorescent tube. And then, in the middle of this airborne torture chamber, she appeared. The Germanic air hostess, a pocket of grace in a fuselage full of madness, a reminder that beauty still existed even if the rest of the world had forgotten. She didn't save the flight. She saved my sanity. The city. Adelaide greeted me like a paused video game. Cold wind, empty streets, a CBD running in safe mode. Everything felt provisional, temporary, like the city was waiting for someone to press resume. I wandered for hours, half frozen, half starving, until I found a Korean place, a warm, spicy refuge in a city that felt like it had forgotten how to be alive. The broth thawed my bones. The chili reminded me I still had a pulse. The East Nova horror. Later that night came the first omen, the East Nova incident. A dead cinema foyer, a cultural void so thick you could spread it on toast. Posters curling at the edges, a staff member who looked like he'd been trapped in a time loop since 2014. A silence so total, it felt like the building was holding its breath. The German Film Festival's anchor was already slipping. Saturday, the day the anchor snapped. The search for meaning. I spent the morning looking for something worthwhile, something with texture, something that justified the trip. Instead, I found KFC. A meal so lackluster it felt like a personal attack, a culinary shrug, a bucket of existential despair. Even the chips tasted like they'd given up. The Franz meltdown. 6 p.m., Palace Nova. Franz, the supposed centerpiece of the festival. This was meant to be the moment the anchor held, the cultural payoff, the reason I was here. Instead, the projector died. First the picture, then the sound, then the collective will of the audience. 5 minutes of silence, 5 minutes of staring at a blank screen, 5 minutes of realizing the festival, the anchor, had dissolved into nothing. I stood up, walked out of the theater, and stepped into the hallway, the liminal space between hope and resignation. And that's when he appeared, a fellow patron, a man with the vacant optimism of someone who still believed the universe was fundamentally functional. He looked at me and said, "They're fixing it, mate." Not reassuring, not confident, just informational. Delivered with the energy of an NPC whose dialogue tree had been stitched together from leftover lines. I nodded, but the immersion was already dead. The moment was gone. The anchor had snapped. I walked out, not defeated, just done. The trip was now drifting into pure Gonzo territory,